We are here with another episode of GenEraTions. This week, we have the honor of having Miss
Sandra Branch of the Flint Public Art Project. I'm creative director, and I also work with Gallery on the Go, and I have another podcast that I'm doing with OOTMINC Nation.
What's the name of that podcast?
One of them is called Word on the Street, where I have individuals come and tell their own story about something that we might have heard on the street and make a clarification. And the other one is called Nourish Flint, where we talk to artists and we talk about how we can nourish our community, Flint, and other artists, and what we can do to create an atmosphere that would embrace artists and create a place where we can incubate entrepreneurs
For the future. Ms. Branch, thank you for joining us this evening. We also have with us this evening
Gamio
of
I Know Podcast.
And to my left here, I had to check my hand.
Yeah, to your left, it's TJ, new addition to OUTOf MudINC. Just learning from my buddy Marcus and all the guys around here, just trying to keep it going.
And as usual, keeping control with a whip and a chair and a gun is our producer, the great, the one.
Our favorite veteran, George F. Grundy II.
Well, he's going to be quiet now. See how long we can keep him quiet. We're going to make him talk before the show is over with.
He's going to tell us who's calling in and what they're going to say, because we want to participate with the people out there in the audience. So we want you to log in and give a comment, and so we can include you in part of our show.
You're pretty good at this. You should take over.
Oh my goodness, I'm not going to take over. This is kind of like
You're our special guest.
It's kind of like a hostess in the round. It would go from me to the host.
But I don't want to be a hostess.
You could be the host.
I want to be a Twinkie.
That's okay. We're going to get it going right now. We're going to talk about different things and subject matter and how it affects the generations and what the different generations feel about certain subjects. Like, I want to ask Mr. Flau, since you have the podcast, I Know, tell us some things that we should know in your spirituality sense. Let's enlighten us, sir.
Okay, so like this really isn't spirituality, but it encompasses that.
Which came first, the chicken or the egg?
Well, actually, we're not going to talk about religion, because religion is something that people do with a habituality. Yeah. And we don't want to call it religion, because religion gets kind of stuck. A spiritualness is something that everyone encompasses, and whether you know it or not, you can develop your spiritual intelligence. Tell us how to do that. How do we get in touch with our center?
Well, first of all, by communicating with the first source and center on a daily basis.
Okay.
Some people call it prayer, some people call it
meditation.
Yeah. It all
grounding
covers the same thing. But yes, by keeping the connection with the first source and center, we're able to open up our
chakras.
Our energy.
Our energies are
Our pores.
What's one of the ways to become grounded and open to your energy source?
Well, for me,
deep breathing, stretching, mindfulness. What are some of the things? Well,
it used to be exercising.
Exercise.
Yeah,
that's a good place to
helped.
start.
Yeah, but it's more of just opening yourself up and trying to stay in tune with what you're hearing, because everybody hears something all the time and they're just unsure of what it is.
So it's about being present in the now.
Yes, because that's all there is. There is no tomorrow. There's no yesterday.
Oh,
No matter what time it is, It's always now.
You can't tell the job that there's no tomorrow. There's no yesterday.
Better be a tomorrow if my paycheck comes
in. So
no tomorrow, just a continuance.
We live either in the past or the future when we should be concentrating on the now, the present.
That's all there is.
That's one way to get in touch with your spiritual self. What do you think about that, TJ?
I think being spiritual, that helps you. Like, if you know who you are as a person, it always helps. So just believing in something, just going about good habits, that always helps. Like me personally, I wouldn't say I'm spiritual, but I know, like, if I have the time in the morning, I'm going to go outside, look at the sun, and put my feet in the grass.
Oh, so you are connecting to a higher power.
Yeah.
Because you said self, but then you say you go look at the sun. So sun gazing. What do you think about that, Mr. Brown?
I think that sun gazing can be dangerous.
Yes.
You can go blind if you do it too long.
Burnt your retina.
But I'm wondering whether or not, do you think that older generations are more spiritual than younger generations, or do you think they're just exhibiting it in different ways? That's an open
think
question.
This younger generation is more in tune with their spirituality than we were. We were more indoctrinated by
you better get up and go
religion.
to church.
Exactly, religion and habitualness. And now people are more open to their spiritual self, and they're awakened that they do have a pineal gland and a third eye. So I think this generation has.
Pause for a second.
Go ahead.
Pineal gland, third eye. You need to Google that in order to get more information. I'm going to let this man speak on it for a second.
Okay,
I wasn't raising my hand.
We're going to come from a place of knowledge, then we must know what we're talking about. So Google that, pineal gland, so we can talk about that
And
with knowledge.
And to hit on that, I'm not going to say my generation, but the people between 20 years old and 35, they walk around burning sage around their houses. Like, that, I consider that spiritual. Like, gotta rid all the spirits. Like, that's spiritual.
Maybe they're trying to get rid of the smell of marijuana. That's funny, but it might be true too.
Well, actually, burning of sage is a thing and a practice that was done by a lot of indigenous people, and it's been proven that it reduces the amount of bacteria in the air and viruses.
Ding, ding, ding.
So we should always go back to a place of knowledge, because there won't always be that can of Lysol available. So when you mix white cedar and sage and you burn that around and add a little lavender, you are doing kind of a cleansing, a spiritual cleansing, as well as a disinfecting. So in these times of viruses and things that are popping up that the government keeps telling us to get injections for, which we know that's not really the way to go anymore. We have to be knowledgeable about self-healing plants and how to get back in touch with our spirituality and nature and health. So, what do you have to say about that?
You said it all.
No, I didn't say it all, because there's something that you know that I don't. And that is how to align that energy that we're getting when we cleanse the air. So where do we start from our grounding and our chakras and our energy sources to where we can let it out?
Where do we start? Well, it's always been a part of us, because we are the indigenous people. You know, if you go back and look at the history timelines and everything like that, we were always there. And I'm sorry, I'm jumping off.
No, go ahead.
Different path. But
we can digress. Go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, from what I've learned through experience, like I've, gone to a lot of different reservations and things of that nature because of my mom.
Have you been in different states of mind?
All the time.
So you're saying that we can change our state of mind and change our condition?
Yes.
Talk more about that. Can you expound on that?
Oh, wow.
You ever done a sweat lodge?
Yes.
What was the sweat lodge like?
It was like...
First, we're going to talk about a sweat lodge. What is a sweat lodge? For those that don't know.
It's a...
Normally Native American.
A Native American practice of
Right, and
Literally sweating,
meet-
getting hot.
meeting
sweating
your
through the different,
meeting your own spirit self,
and that's what happens.
and you
Because you're not really high, but you are.
okay.
You know,
So we go into this sweat lodge, which is either
It could be a tent,
a tent
or
or
it could be a cave.
a cave.
It could be.
or,
It could even be a room.
But
that
it depends on
people
where
are-
you go to.
Right.
Yeah, a teepee, a structure where the heat is in there, and it gets intense, and you start breathing and meditating and thinking about.
Gotta stress: don't try a sweat lodge by yourself. Always have someone, a guide with you, so you don't injure or hurt yourself. So, sweat lodges
Figure
are
out.
a great concept. They're great ways of getting to know yourself better in certain ways. But always have a guide or someone with you, just so you don't.
Where you're coming from a place of knowledge and
Mr.
safety.
Brown said we could do it. Miss
And-
Branch
and
said we could do this.
No, I'm not saying go do this. I'm saying let's investigate this and see if it's something that benefits the rest of us. So, I've known a lot of people that have practiced the Native American beliefs, and they say they met their spirit animal and their spirit self, and it gave them purpose and clarity. So,
Or some people it's scared.
and
the
some
life out of
people
them. They're just like, I don't
have-
want to do this again.
I met
Yeah.
my totem, and I feel like I'm in line with my totem.
okay, a
It's a-
totem is your spirit animal,
Right.
right?
My totem is a frog, and I feel like I'm in line with that creature, and it fits a lot of the philosophies and thoughts that I have. Being creative, being able to live underwater, being able to live on water, being able to jump through the air, being able to change or adapt quickly. My wife's spirit animal is a turtle, and that sense of shelter and protection and nesting goes along with it. Some other people's spirit animal might be the snake, or a rabbit, or could be the ant, or a bee,
Yeah,
or a
mine was
butterfly.
a butterfly.
Butterfly symbolizing change, evolution, creativity, beauty.
So what's a dragon?
Dragon symbolizes ferocity, symbolizes being able to be a soldier and a warrior, but it also symbolizes majesty of royal lineage, and also symbolizes ancestral power.
In the
Exactly.
Korean culture, it's your
didn't know
ancestors. The
I-
ancestors come as dragons,
surprised you some
and
time.
they even bring
You got to read the bathroom walls
luck
more often.
or good prosperity. So they see dragons as their ancestors and their ancestral spirits, guides. So
Yeah, you have the
It's-
Chinese calendar also that varies from year to year, and you might be just like some people are born under the sign of Leo or Virgo or whatever.
yeah, I was a rabbit.
Some people are born under a
The
year.
year of the rat. That was the year of the rat.
You're from the tribe of the rabbit?
So
Because the sign is a...
it's just a
it's
different way
tribe,
of perceiving things, I think, and I think that
as is above.
it doesn't hurt
so
to,
is
to
below.
play with it.
Below.
Some people would say,
That's
"Oh
one thing
no,
I
don't do that,
live
boy.
by,
Yes,
as
that's
is
going
above,
against
so
God."
is below.
Do you-
I often refer to that.
Do you think it's going against God or the will of God to discuss or partake in different
I do
types
not.
of spirituality, like
No.
Hinduism, or take
I-
tenets from
I
from
think
different
as
religions?
long as we have in your mind that everything is creation and God, and every part of us can either choose to be positive or negative, good or bad. So I think that, go ahead.
Oh,
No, you were going somewhere, and like I said, we can digress. But I don't believe it's going against God to believe in science.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going against God to believe in spirituality and self. And I always think that we have to recognize the God in us and the God in others before we can have a common place to communicate.
Can I say one thing?
Totally agree.
I want to hit on what we was just talking about the spirituality thing. The one thing that I started with when it comes to that spirituality, I don't let just anybody come into my house. That's to avoid the burning of sage. I hardly let my mom come over. Like this is my
Energies.
You know what I'm saying? Like keep that on the outside. Like it's that's where it starts at. What I think about, like, I don't answer my phone for the first 2 hours of the day. The last 3 hours of the day, I'm not on my phone. Well, not answering calls.
Disconnect.
You know what I'm saying?
So it's you're actually meditating in yourself.
Yeah.
And
Space,
you're
yeah.
protecting yourself. That is a form
It's
of
time to shut it down.
That's
Like,
the time. That's a form of spirituality. Is when you take time away from distractions and discord,
mm-hmm.
and you avoid negativity at all costs.
Mm-hmm.
That is a form of self-care and spirituality. So
I recently took an art class over at the FIA under Jim Gould, and he has this thing called, it's not mindfulness, but it's like an open field of possibilities. It's kind of like, you remember being a kid laying on the ground looking up at the clouds.
Mhm.
Oh, I see Snoopy. Oh, I see a dragon. Oh, I see a fish or
Yeah.
or whatever. And he teaches art through this understanding, and it helped me get more contact with myself, not just as an artist but as a writer, because that's what I consider my greatest skill is in writing. And I saw that this mindfulness, being in the here and now, being able to translate what I see, and what I actually see is something that's not really there. It's really what's inside me. There are a lot of mirrors in this world that are not shining. And when I say that, I mean that sometimes we impose our own thoughts, feelings, and values on things that we see in this world. Whether it be, I saw a heart-shaped cloud, or I saw a cloud that looked like an angel. That's me imposing my feelings on it. But there's nothing wrong with that, because it shows clarity of what's on my mind, or what's in my soul, or what might be agitating me in a way. I think it's important that we all get to know ourselves like that. Getting to know yourself, getting to know your body physically, getting to know yourself mentally. Knowing that you have a temper or you don't have a temper. Knowing that you're passive or this, that, and other thing. And I think that a lot of people miss out on a good part of life by not exploring that spiritual aspect of themselves.
that connection to self. Yeah, some people live a reactionary life where they're going and they're being just acting to outside stimulus. When we're supposed to be mindful and live a purposeful life, so that we're actually doing things in a purposeful way, in a mindful way, that makes that connection more important. And so we need to actually center ourselves before we go and start our days. Be mindful of ourselves and our emotions and other people's emotions and selves. And
The other day we did the Serenity Prayer.
yes,
And there is a beauty. I don't know if we can pull this up, because I'm not going to be able to remember it on camera. There is a beauty to the Serenity Prayer that just puts you at
ease.
ease and makes you realize the importance of certain things and the trivialness of other things.
The importance to let go of certain things.
Yeah. There's a priority there. Were you able to find it, good sir?
Yeah, I got you.
Can you read it for us,
Yeah.
my good man? I hope you with the big words.
Stop playing with me.
Battery on that guy.
Oh, I thought I was jumbling
You
around.
got it right there?
Yeah, we didn't like that.
O God and Heavenly Father, grant us the serenity of mind to accept that which we cannot change, courage to change that which we cannot be changed, and wisdom to know the one from the other thoughts, Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Yeah, the reason
Serenity, courage, and what else?
He said serenity, courage, and wisdom.
to know,
Serenity,
the
courage,
wisdom
and wisdom.
to accept what we cannot
What we cannot
change.
change.
That is so important, because people spend so much time wasting on things, fighting things that they
Yeah,
cannot
just
change. You know,
the futility
you
of
got to
it.
pick your battles, and when we're wise, we move on and we continue in a way that we can foster.
Wise or experienced?
I think it's wisdom, because you can have a lot of experiences and never gain any wisdom.
Yep. Got a bunch of experience. You still ain't going nowhere fast. You just paddling the boat with no paddle.
So you got to have that wisdom. You have to have that ability to achieve.
To discern.
Yeah, just to achieve discernment. Are we still taping? Okay.
We're just doing some.
We're just doing some housekeeping here and musical chairs. We're rearranging. Oh, just looking at me. Okay. Well, anyway, that was an interesting topic about spirituality and how it's viewed through the different generations. And we want to pick this up and go someplace else with it. So we're going to talk about purpose. Purpose. How does one find their purpose? And I believe that purpose is attached to your gifts that God gives you. And once you identify your gifts, it is attached to your purpose, and it's your job to develop that into something that can serve you. So we don't just choose our purpose. Our purpose chooses us. So how do you think that we can develop our purpose, Mr. Brown? How can you identify what your gifts are?
I think that we're all born with different gifts.
Yes.
And in a beautiful, wonderful world, we would be allowed to develop those gifts. The system that we live in right now, where money matters more than this, and inheritance and this, that, and the values are shifted. We live in a system where we only value that quick, smart kid that can pass a standardized test. There is no standardized test that can measure the beauty of a poem. There is no standardized test that can tell you the value of the Mona Lisa over the value of something by MC Escher. There is no standard. But what do we chase in school? We chase standards. We don't teach kids critical thinking anymore. We don't teach kids creative thinking anymore. And guess what our best quality is as Americans? We build the toys and create the toys the rest of the world wants to play with.
Ingenuity.
Whether it's music, movies, the newest best cars, the newest best phones, the newest best technology. We are a piece of that, and all have always been a piece of that since the 1800s, since the birth of the Industrial Revolution. We've lost the rights to the industrial part of it, but we still hold that creative power. Now, I believe there are multiple intelligences.
Mm-hmm.
Some people are born with a mathematical intelligence where they can just shoot through math problems. Some people have a verbal intelligence where they have rhetorical skills that are out of this world, can talk you into selling your car or talk you into doing something you might, should not do. But then there are people that have an athletic intelligence where they can comport or move their body in certain ways, like dancers or like athletes. And there are so many different types of, they say there's like 11, 12 intelligence. I think the amount of intelligence is go way beyond that.
I do too. I definitely agree with that.
Now, you are blessed truly if you are able to find your gift in this world, have a teacher help you, guide you along the roads, and say, no, he's more gifted or she's more gifted with this. He's a great singer or whatever.
Right.
You are truly blessed if you find your gift. You are even more blessed divinely if you can live
off your gifts.
Live inside that gift. Mm-hmm. Because too many of us wind up at a checkout.
Yes.
Or doing some kind of
paper or plastic.
Yeah, menial job. Hey, you know what? You're gifted with that.
That's funny. But as a teacher, I always told my students that everyone has a reason for being here at this specific moment in time in history. And everyone that you encounter, you're to encounter for a reason. There's either a purpose there. It's either something you should do or should not do.
Everybody's got a little light
under the sun. So we have to be able to, like I said, identify the God in you to see the God in them. And that's who we converse with, to have that
Wouldn't it be
balance.
Great if our world focused on that more than capital?
Yes.
If two people interacting in the street, it ain't got to be about money or trade. It could be a trade of thoughts or a bartering of some other spiritual aspect.
The way
Well,
humanity and
Humanity.
civilization started
Exactly.
as was on that spirit of cooperativeness. What I have that you need, what you have that I need, a symbiotic relationship.
let's share ideals.
Let's share ideas and resources.
Sounds like supply and demand.
It sounds
there is
like
there is
that.
economics to it.
Yeah, there is supply and demand involved. But if we monetize it and make it about money, that's where we go wrong. That's where we run into greed and selfishness and hoarding, and we should all be sharing. There's enough resources on this planet for everyone. But what we do is we hold back the supply and demand so we can control and monetize things.
TJ made mention of the 1% or the 2% earlier. Didn't you say something about that?
Was that the Genghis Khan thing, or was that the Murdochs?
No, we were actually talking about sustainability of the planet.
Oh,
And the 1% that has the money and the 98, or the 2% that has the money and the 98% of us that are,
poor.
poor.
But that doesn't.
So
that's not fair, because remember when Marcus said about the granddad on the boat, but he doesn't want to die, and it's like, hey man, like time for us to live.
Move on.
Doesn't
Well,
more
let me-
people die than more people are born?
People have well, let me say what the grandfather on the boat was. You're referencing stuff they might not have heard.
Okay.
So, if we all live on a boat, you got granddad on the boat, he's got his kids on the boat, he's got his grandkids on the boat.
Boat sinking, right?
Everybody wants to live forever. Nobody wants to die. Granddad has the wisdom and understanding eventually to say, if I don't let go and give up my resources, then the next generation of grandbabies won't be born. And I'm actually killing my family by trying to hog up resources and live forever. The way that I live forever is by teaching good lessons, leaving good memories, and passing down not just my genes, but my spirituality also, if spirituality can be passed on. And I hope that it can, because I think I have some beautiful things to pass on to my children, if they so choose to take it.
do you believe in generational knowledge?
I believe in generational wealth is knowledge.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to have the money if you got the teachings. There are people that, I just saw the news the other day, NBA player got paid over $80 million in his career, and he's filing for bankruptcy.
Mm-hmm.
He got paid over $80 million, and he's filing for bankruptcy. That right there speaks volumes to us,
Yeah.
especially African Americans, and how we need to learn more about what money really is.
Sustainability.
Money is not a god. Money is a tool. And either that tool can be, you can use that tool correctly, or that tool will get used on you.
Mm-hmm. Because they present them with a lifestyle that eats up the income.
Yeah, it's
And
not
nobody
sustainable.
needs to live like that.
I'm going to buy my mama a $12 million house.
But
Right.
So when my career is over, she ain't got the money to pay the taxes
Right.
But
on a $12 million house.
But Marcus,
Yes.
that's not fair. Going back to what Ms. Branch said. So that guy he filed for bankruptcy after making $80 million.
Mm-hmm.
My grandmother didn't know how to read. I know how to read, so I think I made it more in life than the dude that just filed for bankruptcy. That's.
I would say that that's left to be understood or said, because some people would judge your progress by the number of houses you own or how much money you have. Other people would judge it by the wisdom or the way you share that money or the way you share yourself. So I'm not saying that it's 100% no money. Money is involved, but money cannot be the center, because there's some people that believe that money is the root of
All evil.
It is.
This actually, the love of money
For the love of money
is the root of
will
all
kill
evil.
their own brother.
So it's not that money is, because money is a tool, like you said. But some people begin to worship that tool, and they begin to put their spirituality
Aside.
in
To
materialistic
acquire more.
things, in the symbols of success, which they flaunt to our athletes and anybody making a 7-figure income. They want you to buy a Maybach, do this, do that, put diamonds in your teeth. That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard of.
Well,
Because they're
I'm
actually
not going to put down anybody else's.
But the thing
we
is
all have
that they're
our
buying
nicks.
industrial diamonds that aren't worth a dime, and they're putting them in a grill to sell to a people and a culture to create false sense of wealth and establish a foolish way to utilize your wealth and to throw it away.
Well, some people would say that purchasing art is a foolish way to use wealth.
Art appreciates
Art
value.
and fashion.
They could say that, but art appreciates.
Yeah, it does.
Right.
Diamonds appreciate.
Not those
Not all,
industrial
not-
ones. Not the ones in the grill. I sold jewelry for years. I know the markup on that grill diamonds. It starts at 600% of the
So,
value.
all right, I already know the answer to this, but there are people that believe that diamonds are a good investment. Gold is a good investment.
It depends on the quality
You marry
of
a
the
woman
diamonds.
and you give her that diamond ring as a promise of, well, it used to be a promise of financial stability, wealth, this, that, and the other thing.
Yeah.
Now it's just a symbol.
We
Now
got it
it's
from the
just
God.
a
What you
status
talking about?
symbol. But the thing is, they're only as expensive and in value as the cut, clarity, and color. So what they're selling us has no cut value, no clarity, and the color is white and listed at SS instead of A1 or 2 or even C
Well,
or D or F.
The diamond market has seen a sharp drop since that movie Blood Diamond came out, and since people started realizing what was being done in order to acquire some of these diamonds. You also have the creation of artificial diamonds now, cubic zirconians and all these other things that replace the industrial use for diamonds. So we have we have something that's being held up by tradition more than it's being held up by true value.
The value is suspect, is what I'm saying.
So what about pearls? Like something that's realistically
Pearls?
expensive.
Pearls, they're actually cultivating now. They're implanting seeds into the oysters
and
and
whatnot.
clams to make these certain size pearls.
In
And
certain
so
colors.
they're
Certain colors,
and
pink
colors.
ones.
So they're losing their value unless you have South Sea pearls from nature. So it depends on what you're really buying. Just like the clothing market. Now you can get a designer shirt with hill figure on it, but that's
my Freddy.
and the thing is that they're selling you the lowest quality at the highest price, and you become a human billboard for them. When the rich people are wearing something with a tag in the side of the clothes, and they look like regular clothes, but the quality is of such that it's not going to break down.
So
and the fabric
po
is
folks
better.
like to have that tag flash. They want to see.
They wanna
They want
see
to
it.
show off their heel figure.
And
And
yeah.
rich folks are it'll be heel figure, but you won't. You barely even
They'll
see
be
the
wearing the quality
yeah,
clothes.
they'll just buy
and
anything
they're
that
buying
you
it
can
because
buy
the way
from
it feels on their
Walmart
skin
or whatever, and put
or
the
wicks the
stickers
moisture.
in, yeah.
And they're buying the technology of the garment, and we're buying the name
flash.
on the garment. So it's
Yeah,
the
we
way they market to our culture is to relieve us of our wealth, because they know that the people with the most disposable income is black people.
I wouldn't say that we have the most disposable income. I would say we freely give up our disposable income
Our
quickly.
income is more
and it doesn't-
disposable than it is utilized
It
for
doesn't
our
get-
sustainability.
It doesn't get washed through our community.
It doesn't.
It'll literally go from
recirculate.
our hand right back to white folks' hand.
Yeah,
If
that's
you
the
are
thing.
Asian or if you are Latino, there's a chance that money will get put inside of another Asian or another Latino's hand.
And that's the thing that
before-
we don't have. We don't have the economic sense and stability in our culture where we recirculate a dollar. If you can keep it in your community, that means that you're getting more wealth out of that dollar. But the minute that you take that dollar and put it in the hands of somebody that circulates it in their community,
It's going straight
that's
out
where
to the
that's
suburbs.
where the wealth is going. It's never coming back to you, and your neighborhood will continue to to depreciate and deteriorate and go into decline.
So I got a question now. I'm hearing y'all. I'm been trying to stay off the radar too much. With all the stuff that we got going on that we know, why? Why are we allowing that to happen? We have enough information and intellectual common sense to say what the problem is. Why can't we create a solution to the problem and a solution to the issues that we're having? And I don't want to hear a whole bunch. I want to hear why we can't. Not because we all know what history has done. We all know those things. But why?
I agree it's a lack of unity, but there are actual efforts to work against that.
Yes, programming.
I went to a program the other day on solar energy and bringing solar energy to Flint, including making gyros and whatnot, and making the actual solar panes and whatnot. There's actually lobbyists fighting that right now.
Yes.
That work for Consumers Energy, that work for DTE, that are fighting directly against solar power. Solar power is the future.
Yes.
We're not going to have fossil fuels forever, but you got people that are fighting against that. Now, how does that apply to us? We know that this money is supposed to stay in our community. We know that there are better ways for us to spend our money. Yes, it would be great if we can create a black grocery store like we used to have before desegregation.
Or a black land bank.
Maybe the land bank should be controlled by the people inside the neighborhood and maybe not by people outside the neighborhood.
Let's stick to my question. I'm still waiting to hear what your.
I don't believe we reinvest the money in our own community.
We know that.
No, that's the only problem. If it's a black guy with T-shirts, it's not going to be black people buying the T-shirts. If it was a white guy with the shirts,
why?
They don't invest in their own people.
Why?
Yeah, why
they
don't
don't want
have
to give
the acumen?
I think
like
some of
Jewish.
it's self-hate.
It is.
Some of it's self-hate.
Because of television.
Not even. Like, I just went and worked for a white man for 40 hours. I'm not about to give you $20 out of my check. That's how people look at it.
Okay, so go back and look at all of those programs that you guys grew up on. I don't even know.
Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
I never.
Uncle Phil was a judge.
Wick.
No, I think he's
That's
talking
a program.
about.
EBT.
I think he's talking about TV programs.
Television program.
How they program us for failure. How they tell us that the only people out there are in the projects and there's a JJ in every family. All that's so unrealistic. There's more Huxtables out there than there are.
But they don't present that.
Yeah. So it's a matter of programming. How
when the Huxtables move out of the hood and you don't have contact with them, how can we learn money management, and how can we learn from the lessons that they already learned? If it's like a centrifuge is being used to pull all the talent away.
Yeah, that's what we have done. We've learned to separate ourselves. The Willie Lynch syndrome. It's instilled in us.
Okay, so y'all going back again. So I'm still trying to get a current answer. And I'm respecting what y'all saying.
But you're saying.
But I'm asking a question that I feel I have a somewhat of a solution to, because you take a Grant Cardone, Mr. 10X, he don't go back to the hood. He invites you to his wealth to learn how to create wealth. Right. So we don't have to have all our wealthy and educated people coming back. We do have to have sustainability in a community.
That's what I'm saying.
Which we cannot individualize all these people and say that you have one athlete or say 10,000 athletes with 100,000 people don't have to come back, because those 99,000 people, there should be at least 30% doctors, 30% lawyers, educated people that have sustained lifestyles and lives that can create that 1% that we continue to have. What I believe we don't do, because we take it as being detached, is we do not create the policies or go up to get amendments or become the lobbyist groups that we need in order to say, look, your money count for this, or you're going to be violated in the same way that somebody else is, based on constitutional, or whether state, local, or it's not broken because it's working for everybody else.
What I'm saying is we don't have the structure that Jewish people have to support their own. And that's what we need. We need that structure. We need that fabric. It goes beyond that, though.
When the machine is actually built to work against you. Some people say that slavery ended with the Civil War. Some people say slavery evolved.
Yes, because it's mental.
Because
So
right now,
pause right there. So the machine is working against us. So the people that we can't even name without getting violated by for naming their community, you just said them. The machine has always been trying to destroy them since the beginning of time, based on biblical, Sumerian, all kinds of texts, and they figure out ways to get around that.
if
It's
I can run a
unity.
plantation without you knowing you're living on a plantation,
It's called
should
a
I-
cult.
They don't accept the plantation, regardless
if
of what
you don't
happens.
know
They
you're living on a it's kind of like being inside the matrix.
and then look at the daughters of the Confederate. They don't accept the history. They control the history books.
They're actually creating
Before
Yes.
their
desegregation,
own.
you used, in order to have a city job, you used to have to live where?
In the city.
In order to be a fireman, you had to live where?
In that city that
To
you
be a policeman, you had to live where?
in that
To be
municipality.
a school teacher, you had to live where?
in
and
that,
that
community.
yes,
And that meant that your tax money
was staying
went to
in
go
the city.
sustain that same city.
It's still like that.
Now, no,
No,
it's
it's
not.
not
No,
here.
it's not.
Not
Because
in
a
here.
lot of
White
our,
flight
Your
caused
tax
a lot
money
of people.
goes other
Like this
communities.
police officer, I'm not living in the hood with them people.
Listen,
but yet
Teacher said,
still,
I'm not living in the hood with them people. The doctor
No,
said,
no.
I'm not living in the hood with
But
those
yet
people.
still they own property, so they had created a loophole, and that's what they're doing. They're owning rental property and not living there, and still working and taking our money and our dollars.
It's a
out to
centrifuge.
their-
Yeah, I'm
It's a
talking-
plantation
this
where they
is-
pour the money
No,
out.
no, that is here in Michigan. You go to New York State for if you're a firefighter or a cop, your first 10 years on the force, you have to live where you
that
patrol at.
jurisdiction.
So when somebody breaks in your house, guess what? It's probably a cop on your block.
You know what? There might be slight variances, but overall, most civil servants do not have to live inside the area they work.
Hey, man,
most,
do the
because
science.
they
Do the
found
science.
up a
Do the
constitutional
science.
reason.
I'm telling you, bro.
All right, young man.
You put your time
So
in.
again, being that this Flint community is not, we're 60 to 80,000 people. We're scalable enough in size to where we can come together with a collective group and say we want to change this rule, we want to change this law, we want to change this ordinance,
Yes, we
and
need
vote
to
against
change
this.
laws.
Why won't we do it? We won't look. The reason why the freaking lawsuit is only $600 million is because people did not do the paperwork in order to have the mass lawsuit be what it needed to be.
They
Just
divided
like
You
how
have to see it as a
They
joke, though.
divided us.
it wasn't no
With
division.
the
People did not
lawsuits.
come out in the drove with however 50 different law firms. Because I've been hearing it from every side. I done lost my home. My life has been threatened. All these different things going through this process of coming back home. So I'm hearing these things, and Flint community, we don't do what we're supposed to do to participate to get what it is that we say we want. But you say that you want something that you ain't even go and do the paperwork for.
But you also have to take into account they don't value us the same way.
We ain't valuing ourselves.
Right.
But where do we learn?
I don't care about who they are, because they can get hit upside the head with these fists and these knuckles and shot in the face.
Well,
But I'm saying when it comes to us, if I'm saying I'm riding with you, you better get up and come ride with me.
Right. Yeah.
the thing
I
is,
want to ride with you.
we don't.
I'm
But
like,
you
no,
don't.
but if you just sitting there and you just worrying about self and we not doing what we supposed to, and we keep talking about these politicians, whether it be Mayor
Nasser.
Neely or Mayor
Let me say this
Weaver
right here.
or whoever else, and we are violating ourselves. We are leaving in
We
perpetuity of what we put to
And we get
ourselves.
back to Willie Lynch and the lessons that we learned.
We
about
know
divide
about
and
it,
conquer.
but I'm
We
saying,
know we
but
divide and
I'm saying,
conquer.
if something happened, people are. If I say that, look, I'm not saying this group because this group has a different heightened thought process. But if I say that I'm about to do this such and such, and we about to make some illegal moves because it's gonna get us some money, I can get 10, 15, 20 people to come and do something that's going to cause us to violate our life and our freedom in order to do that. When I say, okay, this is just going to take a couple hours a week and we do this and blah, well, man, I don't know about that. What do you mean you don't know?
I think it is an intelligence that's missing. It's that intelligence that we have to work for ourselves and we have to bond together, and there's strength in numbers if we have that unity. But we don't have unity. There's too many people standing up saying they're the black leader or they're the black leader over here, and they don't even speak for the rest of us.
Too many chiefs.
Too many chiefs.
Not enough indeed.
And so we need to become a tribe first before we get a chief.
Yeah.
Here's what really ticks me off about this whole thing. Nasser violated a bunch of young ladies, hundreds of them.
You're talking about Dr. Nasser, that was the gymnastics doctor that actually was molesting girls for years. And even though the whistle had been blown, they let it go on 10 more years.
Now, there were hundreds of young girls that were impacted by him, and they are getting more money than the whole city.
Again.
And that tells you the
that don't tell no that don't because you misappropriate because I asked those same questions 7, 8, 9 years ago or when that happened in that time period when they were getting paid. Let me digress with the time. So no, it was their families and they pursued the lawsuit at a 90% ratio. Said they came out and said y'all gonna do this. Yeah. We came out in a 14 or 15% less percentile saying y'all owe us because y'all did something to us. Well, and the state and the feds was like, catch us if you can. And we ain't try to run and catch them. These young ladies was like, you violators, you did something to us, so we about to come get you. And he wasn't able to escape. He got away for them 10 years, but then when it came, we didn't have the spirit that we get out in these streets. We ain't got that. We ain't true to that. When it comes to riding for what we rather go do something that's going to create more problems than saying, look, we can come and get $3.5 billion if we do something at a 90% ratio instead of getting $600 million that everybody going to start violating each other that end up getting the doggone settlement.
And I think it is the squeaky wheel that gets the oil because we're not standing up for ourselves. We're not standing together. The only people that've gotten paid are attorneys.
I was shocked.
And we had to pay for the defense fund for those that abused us. So I don't understand
I was shocked that there were no protests when these people were exonerated or they dropped the charges.
Because they had us in a point where people have let apathy take hold because they didn't give us anything for so long. Now the people are disenfranchised. They scattered the people that were the noisemakers. I know Tammy Lauren has moved out of town. Melissa Mays has done her thing. The people that started screaming aren't here anymore. And everybody else has left.
Or died.
So Flint has no voice right now.
Flint doesn't have a voice. It has an echo. Of what used to be screamed.
How do we find that voice?
We've got to unite. Like he said, we've got to get the ride or diers and we got to bring everybody on board. Because if we don't start this movement, there won't be a movement.
We have elected people that say, oh, we'll take care of it.
We've elected liars and people that are gaslighting us. And once we realize that we've done more damage than good, we've got to change the direction. We can't go 360 because we're going back in the same direction we came. We got to go 180 and flip it.
So we need to have some of our council people and some of our mayors and some of our senators addressing these issues in a forum like this where the public can see and question them.
And we need
I wish we had Facebook people asking questions right now or making these demands along with us so we can show that there's a need for this to be understood.
We've seen this happen before. We've seen it happen over and over because we allow it to happen. Now we look at what's happening in Nigeria. Their money is almost worthless because of corruption at the top. We're headed in the same direction. Now there's a countrywide, nationwide blackout because the people are refusing to go to work under this corrupt regime. We have to do that. We have to rage against the machine.
But the people in the city don't have those jobs.
Exactly.
The people in the suburbs control what's going on at the water plant, what's going on
in the city. And we have to change that. We have to come back to the point where we do have an ombudsman.
Protest.
So you telling me that they can live in Lake Fenton or wherever they want to live and be as comfortable. This is the county seat. So if I'm like this, if we want something done, then you block off all the expressways. You make sure they can't get to work. You make sure that everybody that you know that live wherever, they uncomfortable and they understand what's going on. Because I'm saying we were 10 times worse than toxic waste. 10 times worse than toxic waste. And then the people that we knew that were regular water drinkers that were in their 70s and 80s and were walking every day, and then they just die the next week.
Gone.
The next month,
And then, okay, we know that doctors were put in a situation where they couldn't talk about what was really going on with the blood.
Talking about clusters,
Look,
clusters.
I'm saying, I'm getting this out now because I'm saying right now, I came here to get peace. She interviewed me the other day. I came here to get peace because I'm from here. I'm born and raised here. All of the stripes that I earned growing up, I got them here. But now you're telling me I done got cussed out. So I'm going to just put all this shit out right now. Because I'm at Cigar Lounge and minding my business trying to do stuff. And then like a few months ago, and the mayor cussing me out for some Art Woodson said. Well, how much time I got to be taking other people's issues and all this other stuff and holding all these different things, the council members and all this other stuff. And I get the blunt of all this garbage. When my organization has serviced over 40,000 people. Nobody created that. Ain't no puppets on me. Ain't no strings. Ain't nobody come up with the ideas. George F. Grundy II did because I wanted to help my community. I sacrificed the Habitat for Humanity house that I had toward Margaret Cato that, look, you might take this house from me, but water going on here this day for this community. Definitely. So I'm saying these different things, we have the ability to do it. And all this history stuff and all these lessons that ain't doing crap.
What do you suggest?
I suggest what I said. We have to change policy. We have to go and do the things that we're supposed to be doing with the state. Because when they sign paperwork, we do what the paperwork say.
We have to change legislation.
And
the only way we can change legislation is to get in their face. That means we got to go to the place where they're creating the legislation, and we have to propose a solution in writing. So we need to come together, create that solution, and then march down on them.
I agree with you, but that sense of unity has been usurped.
By who?
Been replaced with apathy.
I don't want to call out any names, but there are groups out there.
Who are these ghosts?
I don't consider them ghosts.
Who are the ghosts that's doing this? So if I got to put my life on the line to go handle on my will, who are the ghosts that's keeping people from having their peace of mind and freedom?
You got these people out there called poverty pimps.
Who?
That make money off grants that don't do anything. You got people out there that are in agreement with, we should work with the police in order to help them solve the problem. We should work with them in order to get them to stop doing this to that to us.
I don't think we should call out names here.
If they not these organizations,
I think
if they're organizations, they're organizations.
We know who they are, so we need to approach them first.
There are poverty pimps out there. People that make money off of the suffering.
They actually do what they're proposing.
Well, I'm willing to go and have very direct conversations, whatever it leads to whoever these organizations or people are, in order to get them out of the way of what needs to happen for people that have been violated.
If you got 12 people together, I say I'm with you.
I'm one of them.
But I'm tired of being out there by myself complaining and getting jumped on by the land bank.
Because the first
getting jumped on by the tax assessor and getting jumped on by everyone else in the city.
The first thing they do is attack us individually. And then they marginalize us by saying we're crazy or something. So we've got to have a network that they cannot penetrate. We have to have people that aren't going to sell us out.
Oh, the people are going to sell us out, but we need to be
tighter than that.
We need to be so righteous that even a sellout can't hurt us.
That's right.
If we're above and honest and direct and say we are protesting X, Y, and Z
and
because of whatever, how can somebody selling us out hurt us with the truth?
To who they are and their organizations. We need to compete with them directly for these buildings that they're purchasing and
not purchasing, being given.
Yeah,
for $1.
They're purchasing for pennies and given for a purpose that they are not used for.
Let me ask you a question, because this plays in. People are ticked off with all the shootings and the police killing all our youth and all our brothers and sisters and children. Now, if you are the powers that be, who would you rather work with? Would you rather work with an organization that's going to allow you to organize and tell you when they're planning to protest, this, that, and other thing? Or would you rather work with the other organization? It goes back to that Malcolm
Malcolm
and Martin
Martin.
Quiston. Would
Exactly.
you rather work with Malcolm? Would you rather work with Martin? They'd rather work with Martin because he's got the smile on their face. We need to build that structure where you can talk to our angel, but we also got a dog over here.
That's what I was going to say. You needed both. We needed both.
We need both of those here.
And we
Flint.
needed them to be a unit.
Right. We need to be on the same page.
Yes.
If the strategy is we
And
want to
that's
change
what
the
they
name
do.
of a park and
They-
name it after me,
They
or we want to get
divide
food or
and
water to
conquer
somebody.
us. And that is the thing that they've been doing. They've been dividing and conquer us. If we can get two groups, then they don't have a unified voice. If we can battle this one against that one, they're fighting each other, and we can go on with our agenda separate from that and conquer and run over both of them. And that's what they've been doing. And we've got to create that unit, that machine that cannot be broken down, that they can't penetrate.
I'm saying there's a way to build this machine where we are so cold with just being truthful and direct that even if we got spies among us, that spies just getting paid money because we're being truthful and direct about what we're asking for.
And the thing is, how do we get to a point where we can
Trust each other.
create finances? When we can own our own finances.
I think, this is just me, I think solar power is the thing of the future. Right now,
And
there is
wind
not enough
turbines.
infrastructure for all the cars they're putting on the road. Somebody needs to start building these solar power chargers.
Yes.
Or these chargers for cars. Now that's the dream.
Yeah.
Whatever business it is, we need a business brought into Flint. We threw one out there on the table. But we also need to have that unity of ideals where we all can agree this is the way we go. We're going to go speak with this person first tomorrow, and we're going to have our issues addressed. If 12 of us, just 12 of us, got together and went somewhere, they're going to listen to us.
Well, I think that we need to come up with that 12 people board. And those 12 people need to reach 24 people each. And those 24 people need to reach 24 more people each. And that's how we build it. We have to create a like-mindedness that is into a unified goal.
I agree with you. I think this conversation needs to continue at another time.
Well, welcome part 2. And we're going to wrap this up right now.
Well,
So
I'm gonna say one more thing before y'all wrap it up.
go ahead,
So,
George.
George of Grundy second, so y'all won't get it confused. And if y'all got questions,
It was him doing it.
there's none of these black men sitting in front of the camera right now.
No, I'm with you, bro.
I'm of the same belief that the same way this conversation went, other people are having it just from a different mentality. Because who knows? Because people say disparaging things about a lot of our politicians, but who knows whether or not they think the same way, but from their thought process. Some of them may be. I'm saying, show me evidence that these folks are stealing. Show me evidence that they've done things that are illegal, and then go from there to see what it is. But I try to have conversations with people and see where they are. Do I agree with some of the stuff? No, but they come from a different perspective and they are doing things according to the law. It may be unethical.
Right.
It may be unsapped to a person that has a thought process of unity and community. But
there is corruption. There's corruption in this town. When a person cannot file a police report for fear of retribution, that's a form of corruption. When you go see your elected official and try and get an appointment with them and they try and arrest you, that's a form of corruption and a broken system.
That's an abuse of power.
There are people who can share their stories about how they've been dissed or left to feel like they were less.
I want to hear them. I want to hear these stories. I want y'all to come out of mud and tell your stories.
Out of the Mud Productions is helping with that. And we just need to start, let's get a wandering mic and start talking to people in the street and start hyping these people up. We need to get them hyped.
That's what my show is about, word on the street. I want you to call us. If you want an interview and you have a situation that's similar to this where you're trying to speak truth to power, get here on this platform and let us know what your truth is.
Let us know how you've been violated by the city or by a city employee or by the county or by the police or whatever. Closed mouth don't get fed.
That's right. So thank you for joining us for the conversation in generations. It got a little heated, and we're going to have a part 2 of this. So thank you very much. We're going to thank George Grundy, our producer, George F. Grundy II, that is.
The man, the myth, the
We're going to
legend.
thank Mr. Marcus Brown for being the host for Generations, this show. And we're also going to thank our guest, Mr. TJ and Falau.
Wow.
Forever.
Falafel.
Stop. I'm not going to try to mess up this man's name. Okay. See you again for Generations.